She was the queen of the Nile, a goddess to her people, a lover to two of the most powerful men in Roman history. But behind Cleopatra's golden throne and seductive legends lay a secret, a scandal buried so deeply not even Rome whispered of it. Until now. This isn't the story you read in history books. This is the untold confession she never meant anyone to hear. A diary entry written in the shadow of betrayal, poison, and a love that unraveled under the weight of truth. Tonight, for the first time in over 2,000 years, we bring you Cleopatra's hidden truth, the blood moon betrayal. They say history is written by men, that gods shape fate, but they forget how often fate begins not with a sword, but with a whisper. There are many things I have been called: temptress, goddess, sorceress, queen, but never coward. And yet, what I'm about to write, I have never told a soul, not even Charmian, who knew all my secrets. I must confess it now, lest I die with the burden still curled in my throat like a serpent. This happened 1 year before, the great battle of Actium, when Mark Antony still ruled the East with me, half in war, half in love. The night it began, a blood moon hung over Alexandria. The priests said it was a sign of chaos. I laughed then. I do not laugh now. I remember how Antony came to my chamber, his skin hot with wine and war. He looked at me as if I were Egypt itself, something to be won, then worshipped. I wore gold that night, nothing else. He tore it from me like parchment. That was his way, brutal tenderness. Afterward, he fell into a restless sleep, mumbling of Octavia, his Roman wife, and of Caesar's ghost. He said my name once, then hers. He didn't know I was listening. It stung more than I expected. I rose from the bed, silent as the Nile before flood. I walked to the balcony and stared at the red moon. And it was there I saw it, two cloaked figures slipping into the palace gardens where none but the royal guard should be. I signaled Apollodorus with a flick of my ring. Within moments, I was following them. Yes, the Queen of Egypt, barefoot and cloaked, gliding through shadows like a thief. I should have turned back. Behind the oleander trees, I heard the whispering, low, urgent. One voice I recognized immediately. It was Lucius Cornelius, Antony's most trusted Roman officer. The other chilled my blood. It was Iras, one of my handmaidens, and my cousin. They spoke of the poison in the wine and of timing the death to look like fever. They said she must die before she poisons him against Rome completely. I did not move. I barely breathed. For a moment I thought they meant Octavia. But then Lucius said, "The queen must not see the next full moon." And I knew. They meant me. Iris, my cousin, my shadow, the girl I'd bathed with as a child, who once bled with me under the same whip when we stole pomegranates from the temple altar. Her voice trembled, but her words were clear. He will never see clearly while she lives. He must rule alone without Egypt binding him. A rush of blood sang in my ears. I stumbled back too loudly. The garden fell silent. A moment later, they were gone. I returned to my chamber. Antony still slept, one arm flung across my pillow. I lay beside him, stared at the ceiling, and wondered when love becomes war. 3 days later, I invited Iris and Lucius to a private feast. There were only 6 of us present, myself, Antony, Lucius, Iris, Charmian, and the physician Dioscorides, whom I trusted as I would a father. I wore a gown sewn with tiny emeralds and pearls. It caught the torchlight like dew on a blade. I had the goblets arranged in a circle, each filled with date wine laced with saffron. Except 2. Lucius and Iris's cups were laced with something else. Truthroot, a rare herb from Nubia that compels a man to speak the thoughts he wishes most to hide. The dose was gentle, enough to loosen tongues, not kill. I waited until the 3rd toast, then raised my cup. "To secrets," I said. "May they always come to light." I saw Lucius hesitate. Iris glanced at me with something like fear. Or was it guilt? 10 minutes passed, then 20. And then the poison took hold, not in their blood but their hearts. Lucius laughed. It was a sharp, strange sound. He leaned forward and said to Antony, "Do you even know how close she was to death, my general?" The room froze. Iras's eyes went wide. Lucius, but it was too late. The truth spilled like oil in fire. He told all, of the plan, the timing, even how he meant to blame the palace cook. Antony listened, silent, his hands trembling with wine and rage. When Lucius finally realized what he'd said, it was already over. I spoke only once. "Take them." They were dragged out screaming. But Antony, he didn't speak to me for 2 days. When he finally came to me, his eyes were full of something I had never seen before. Not hatred, not love, fear. "How did you know?" he asked. "I listen," I said. He shook his head. "Not just that. How did you make them confess?" I told him about the truthroot. He backed away. "You drugged my general, your cousin. They planned to kill me." "But still, Cleopatra, what else have you given me? What other truths have I spoken unknowingly to you in your bed?" That was the moment. The shift. The silence that was never healed. From then on, something in Antony changed. He still came to me, still held me, still made love to me. But there was a distance behind his eyes, a whisper of doubt. We began to unravel slowly, like silk from a torn hem. And a year later at Actium, when he fled the battle and followed me, some say it was love, but I know better. He did not trust me to survive without him. In the end, it wasn't Rome or Octavian that destroyed us. It was that one blood moon night, the betrayal, the drugged wine, the truths we should never have known. And now, as I sit in my tomb with the asp waiting in its basket beside me, I wonder, was I wrong? To expose them? To live? Or was it already written in the stars? They will say I died for love. Let them. But this was the secret that shaped my fall. The lesson? That even queens must beware the power of truth, because once spoken, it cannot be unsaid, and once broken, trust cannot be mended, not even by a goddess.